What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Raw and Uncut New York Talk, where I talk about the Mets, the Nets, and the Giants. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the New York Mets. Now, I was going to put out something a little earlier today regarding the Mets and the first 10 games of the season. I got a little tied up doing something else. Then I sat my happy ass down and I turned on the New York Mets. And I'm like, okay, maybe since this is the fourth and final game of this series, after this, the Mets would have completed a total of three series to start off the season. I will record something. And I got to admit, I am very happy that I waited till now to record this. So we just finished winning the finale of this series against the Atlanta Braves. We lost the series 3 out of 4. It's been a really rough start for this New York Mets team. Things got a little worse yesterday as far as how everything was handled regarding Cespedes, and I will get to that maybe a little bit later. Right now, you and I, we need to enjoy this New York Mets victory. We need to enjoy the fact that we scored 7 runs. We need to enjoy the fact that we hit with runners in scoring position. We need to enjoy the fact that we scored 7 runs for Jacob deGrom. We need to enjoy the fact that our bullpen did not allow a run, although it looked a little shaky when Familia came in, who loaded up the bases with 1 out. But overall, you and I, as Met fans, should be very pleased with tonight's game, and hopefully, this is something to come as we move forward in this crazy shortened season. Look, I'm gonna start off with this Mets game tonight. Jacob deGrom was pretty damn solid. He had one bumpy inning in the fifth inning, I believe, where he threw about 35 pitches. Other than that, he was really mowing them down and really in control of the game. He looked really good. We know how good his fastball is. We know how good his slider is and his changeup. Tonight, it looked like he brought out his curveball a lot, and that was, if he adds that to his arsenal, Jacob deGrom will continue to dominate. I don't know how much better deGrom can be, but what we gotta love about the guy is that he gave up 2 runs, and in the fifth inning, and he was just pissed about it, right? Knocked over the hand sanitizer in the dugout. He was just pissed, head down, right, when he gave up a hit. So it's really, the guy wants to go out there and fucking dominate for however long he's gonna be out there for. So I think us Mets fans, and just being from New York, and being New York sports fans, we have to appreciate deGrom going out there and expecting nothing but the best from himself, right? Because at the end of the day, look, we know what it's been like, right? I think Keith Hernandez or Ron Darling said a stat that from last season he started to now, he's got 33 starts, and in only 6 of those starts have the Mets scored 5 runs. I mean, really think about that for a minute, okay? The guy goes out there and does his freaking job every fifth day, and the Mets either don't hit or the bullpen blows it. So, what deGrom has been doing these past few years is really incredible. He can only control what he can control, and just really happy that we could finally score some runs for him, and the bullpen didn't fucking blow it. And besides, look, and at this point, we kind of already know what to expect out of deGrom. He's gonna give you 6, 7 innings. He's gonna, 3 hits, 4 hits. He's gonna give up maybe a run or two. nine strikeouts and maybe two walks. That's what he's gonna give us, right? There's just no. We've already know what to expect from Degrom every fifth day. So aside from Degrom, I thought the other bright spot was seeing Alonso be really patient at the plate. You know, he's had a really rough start. Keith Hernandez had a pretty good breakdown on tonight's game. If you were watching the SNY feed, he mentioned how I'm sorry, how Pete Alonso is dropping his hands as he's pulling his hands back. He's taking his hands back, and he's kind of like swinging down, right? To the point where like his hands are almost behind his head, and you can't, his hands, and you can't see them. Which I think is a very good point, right? They showed the split screen where you can see the difference from 2019 to 2020. What I've been noticing is he's just chasing a lot. He's really chasing a lot. And it feels like he's just pressing. I know he's another guy that expects nothing but the best out of himself. We all love Pete Alonso because he is good for baseball. He's good for the city of New York. But I think a lot of it is between the ears. He just wants to do a little too much. And I was really happy to see him walk his first two at bats because it really showed patience. It showed him not chasing pitches, which I think is very important for Pete Alonso because number one, a walk is just as good as a hit, okay? And you got Conforto behind you. Not tonight because Conforto was moved up to second and a late scratch on Jeff McNeil. But you had Cano who's been swinging the bat really well, and so that's very important for Pete Alonso to be disciplined up at the plate and not always swing for the fences. And he batted 260 last year. If he picks and chooses his spots a little better, he could probably bat 270, 275. So, Pete Alonso, I think these are things that he can definitely fix. The things with the hands that Keith Hernandez was talking about, chasing pitches. It's easy for me to say don't chase this fucking nasty slider from, Max Scherzer down and away, right? Because I have a different point of view than he does. But you get the drift, right? He can be a little more selective up there and just show a little more patience. I think it would do wonders for him. I think it would do wonders for that Mets offense because I think it's a good offense. And, we've seen, obviously, in these first 11 games, we're sitting at 4-7. I think the story so far has been hidden with runners in scoring position. And again, I go to this point where Pete Alonso is important for him to be disciplined and show patience at the plate because the few games, like three games in a row, where Luis Rojas has batted Nimmo and McNeil 1 and 2, they have really done their job and have gotten on base, which is what you want out of your leadoff spot, right? Like that's what you want out of your leadoff spot. And obviously you want, your second hitter in the lineup to get hits, but again, a walk is just as good as a hit. So it's really important that Pete Alonso stays patient at the plate because they're gonna fucking throw him nothing but junk. When you have Nimmo and Jeff McNeil getting on base consistently, okay, at the top of the lineup, Pete Alonso is not going to get a lot of meatballs thrown his way, okay? They're going to look for him to chase. And 10 games in, they're seeing that you're chasing. Well, they're going to keep giving you that filthy stuff. So I think it's really up to him to zone in and relax a little bit at the plate. But I'm not going to beat up on Pete Alonso a lot because, it's a crazy season, sophomore season. I think he'll be all right. I think he'll come around. I don't want him swinging for the fences every single at bat. I think he needs to figure out a way to, just get hits and just get on base by drawing a walk. All is good. But and besides that, right, through the first 11 games, the poor hitting with runners in scoring. And look, look. It's not only Pete Alonso, okay? It's been a lot of guys on that team, up and down the lineup, okay? Nimmo and McNeil batting 1 and 2. That just started like 3 games ago, 4 games ago. It would have been the fourth game tonight, but McNeil got scratched, right, with back tightness. But them getting on base, all that just started. They've been really, really bad up and down that lineup. 1 through 9. I fault them all. They've all been playing like shit. So it's not only Pete Alonso, but besides the hitting, obviously the bullpen has been horrendous. The starting pitching has not been what we expected. Obviously, DeGrom, we already touched on that. We know what to expect out of him. Steven Matz had a good first outing, second outing a little shaky. Waka, has been a little shaky here and there. He looks like he can be our 3, 4 starter, but he needs to get it together. Porcello has looked really shaky, and go figure. It's the fucking Mets. We call up our prospect David Peterson, and the first 2 games he has pitched excellent for being such a young guy. Making his debut against the Red Sox, last week, and then pitching. I was really impressed with the way he pitched Sunday against the Braves, because he showed exactly what Luis Rojas has been talking about. He showed a lot of poise. Like, he got into a lot of tough jams this past Sunday against the Braves, against a really good Braves lineup, and he got out of those jams. So I was really impressed with that. I was more impressed with his second start than I was with his first start. Overall, though, and this is what I really want to talk about with the Mets pitching. Overall, with the Mets pitching, what I've noticed is that with 2 outs, they have been a very poor pitching staff, and I'm talking rotation and bullpen. Okay, they faced 108 batters with 2 outs. Okay, they faced 108 batters. Their batting average against is 297. That's the second highest in the majors. Teams are getting on base. 344 on base percentage, 525 slugging percentage. Their ERA with 2 outs on batters is 9.12. 25 earned runs allowed. A 1.50 whip. They are not putting hitters away. They're getting into decent counts, and with 2 strikes, what more can you ask for? You need 1 pitch, okay? We're just looking for 1 out, and you can't even do that. Those are pretty bad stats, if you ask me, with 2 outs, and it's kind of been the story of the Mets pitching staff overall. So, and their defense has been shaky too. McNeil has had some bad throws at third base. So that can all be fixed. It's all, it felt through the first 10 games, it's all snowballed, right? Poor hitting, poor bullpen play, not pitching well with 2 outs. Defense has been below average. All of that happening at once. It just felt like, holy shit. We're 3-7 through 10 games. It's a 60-game season, and the fucking roof is gonna collapse, and Citi Field's on fire. But I don't think that we will be in a slump like this for much longer. Tonight is definitely a step in the right direction. It's not going to be easy. I've said before that this NL East is going to be a dogfight. And, the good thing is that we get to play the teams in our division. So if we're behind 4 games, if we're, 5 games back, we have a chance to catch up because we're going to see these guys multiple times throughout these 60 games. But we can't waste too much time, damn it, because, next thing you know, a third of the season's here, 20 games in. Next thing you know, half the season is here, and then things really get tight. So I'm kind of glad that through these first 10 games we went through what we went through as a team, and I hope that we can move forward and really use this game here, this fourth game that we played against the Braves tonight, Monday night. Use this as some momentum, going forward. I definitely hope that our game tomorrow against the Nationals does not get rained out because, again, momentum. We want to use this going forward. So we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, I would say I want to give Robinson Cano his props. Robinson Cano has, I've talked a lot of shit about Robinson Cano on Twitter at Raw Uncut New York Talk. He's earning his money so far through these 11 games. He's earning his money. He is playing absolutely very good baseball on the field and at the plate. He had a couple of RBIs tonight. He left the game with some shit wrong with his leg. I hope he's okay because we'll need him. But I hope he. The only thing that I want to see from Robinson Cano is consistency. If you're gonna do this, then do it throughout the whole season. Okay, I don't expect the guy to fucking hit 500 or 400 and have an on base percentage of 500 or whatever, but just be consistent. Okay, I'm still a little kind of scared to put all of my trust in Robinson Cano and that he's going to continue to do this. I hope he does, obviously, right? But I just want to see some consistency. And that's what we got to see out of the whole team. And I think it starts with the manager, with how he puts out this lineup. This lineup is not consistent. I feel like we got fucking guys hidden all over the lineup, and it's never consistent. Like, I'll go on Baseball Reference and I'll look at other teams and how their lineups are structured, and their 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 hitters are all the same. Obviously, they change due to pitch and matchup and all that shit. But for the most part, you got 1 or 2 guys swapping, 3 and 4 or 1 and 2. But for the most part, it's the same guys. We've had McNeil, we've had Rosario, we've had Nimmo all lead off. We've had Pete Alonso hit second. We've had Pete Alonso hit third. We've had Cano hit third. We've had Cano hit fourth. We've had Cano hit fifth, sixth. It's just all over the place. Find a lineup. I urge Luis Rojas to find a lineup. I know he's new. I know he's trying to find his way and mold this team to his satisfaction. The lineup needs to be consistent. I think if we get a consistent lineup card every night, we might get some consistent play. And it hasn't only been Luis Rojas. You can take it back to fucking, I don't know how long ago, Art Howe probably. The lineups are just not consistent, okay? They just aren't. And that's one of my biggest gripes. So, I don't know. Maybe a consistent lineup will help this team be consistent on the field. Who knows? I don't know. But obviously the other news that I really don't want to touch on it too much because it's old news to me. The whole thing with Cespedes is pretty sad, I think, because whether he left without telling the team, whether he left without even telling his agent beforehand, I don't know. Look, I don't know what the fuck happened, but Mets front office has been a joke for many years now, and the way they handle things is not very professional. So none of this really shocks me. I hope that the Mets can move on from this. And I'm talking about the players and the coaches. I don't want the New York media, I don't want these press guys to fucking ask the question about Cespedes anymore. Like after today, nothing more should be asked. That's it. It's done and over with. They need to move on. Okay, whatever happened, it happened. There were some quotes from Nimmo, who has no idea whose story is right. There's two stories to every. There's two sides to every stories, but he doesn't know. He's unsure whose story is the truth, and I think that says a lot. That says a lot when you don't believe upper management. The Mets are really piss poor managed from the very top. And I think yesterday, Sunday, I think it showed how poor managed this franchise is, and we can only hope as fans, because look, at the end of the day, us fans, we buy the tickets, we buy the souvenirs, we buy the hot dogs, we buy the beers, we buy the jerseys, we buy the hats, we buy the whole fucking shebang. We go to these games, we tailgate, we have a good time, and then the fucking product that we see on the field is a piss poor product. And that's because upper management is piss poor. Those Wilpons are bad for baseball. They're bad for the Mets. They're bad for the franchise. They're bad for the city of New York. It's really a shame that a team like the Mets, a big market team, is clowned upon around the major leagues and around the fan bases. Maybe not the major leagues, I'll take that back. But around the fan bases. I mean, we're the fucking clowns of baseball. And that's really a shame. It's a shame that, you and I spend our hard earned money and the owners of the New York Mets repay us like this. So I'm gonna leave you with this one thing on Cespedes, and I would my one memory of Cespedes is kind of similar to Daniel Murphy. If Cespedes doesn't join the New York Mets halfway through 2015, we don't make the playoffs. If Daniel Murphy doesn't have a playoff run like he had in 2015, we don't make the World Series. So Cespedes, as much as a headache as he is, or could be, or we know that he has been, or whatever the fucking case may be, Cespedes, without Cespedes, we don't fucking sniff the playoffs in 2015. So appreciate him, and that should be our only New York Met memory. Besides him, stealing $100 million, right? But that you can rush, you can brush that under the rug. You know what I'm saying? Without Cespedes, plain and simple, we don't make the fucking playoffs in 2015. So that'll be my memory of Cespedes. Hopefully the team will move on. I know me, myself, and I, as a fan, has moved on from Cespedes. And that will be it, folks. That's it for this episode of Raw and Uncut New York Talk, where we talk about the Mets, the Nets, and the Giants. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Raw Uncut New York Talk. Until the next one, be safe and keep it raw and uncut.